Alrighty, y'all. Hello, and welcome back to another emergency vehicles video. This one we'll be looking at another kind of in-depth tour, at least, of a police car. Now, this time, this is going to be a Dutch police car, and I'm so down for this. We've done a German police car a long time ago, and I believe that was a BMW, and we did one recently, 2 or 3 weeks ago, of a Skoda police car that was freaking awesome, and it was a nice in-depth tour. That was, I believe, in the UK. So this one will be Dutch, and this is looking at an Audi A6. Not exactly sure what kind of, trim and what kind of engine and stuff. Hopefully we'll find that out. Let's go ahead and dive into this. I love emergency vehicles. I own a police car myself, well, an retired police car here in the US, and of course that being a Crown Victoria Police Interceptor. So yeah, I'm really into these things, and I think this should be a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and dive into this. This comes to us from a channel called Police Vlogger Jan William. This will be linked in the description down below, so you can check him out and check out this whole video, as we're not going to see the whole thing here. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Dude, that car is awesome, right off the rip. It's an Audi wagon. There's an Audi flag behind me, if you can't see it. I freaking love Audis. I hope to someday own one. I like the livery, so it's all white, so it's nice and visible. I like the yellow plates that they use in the Netherlands, and you have this like really, really deep highlighter orange with a blue, kind of weird, like abstract stripe pattern. It's kind of cool. I believe these things probably handle really well, and they're pretty quick, I imagine. I've seen some Dutch police chases, and they're awesome. They're a lot of fun. All blues with the lighting, I believe.
Leuk dat je kijkt naar een nieuwe video. Nou, zoals je achter me kunt zien zijn we weer opnieuw in Lelystad. Ik weet niet of je het kunt herinneren bij de video van de nieuwe dienstvoertuigen, die we hier ook hebben opgenomen. Gaan we vandaag kijken naar de zogenaamde nieuwe snelle interventievoertuigen. De voertuigen die voor hoge snelheden en grote achtervolgingen geschikt zijn. En we gaan
vehicles suitable for high speeds and large chases.
vandaag eens
Cool.
even kijken wat dat is, hoe dat is en hoe ze eruit zien en wat ze kunnen. Vind je mee?
Ik heb daar zelf niet heel veel mee te maken.
Oh yeah, look at this thing. This thing's stacked like a police car, like you would expect. This one looks like a little more involved than the Skoda I saw from the last video. Like more similar to what you would see in an American police car. This one, where you have all the different screens and controls and buttons. Pretty cool.
Ja, absoluut.
Hij ruikt ook echt nog heel nieuw. Dat is natuurlijk ook wel heel cool.
Hij is gewoon heel nieuw.
Hij is heel nieuw en we gaan even een mooi plekje zoeken. Dan kunnen we natuurlijk even showen voor jullie. En dan moet een stukje de baan op straks.
Oh yeah, look at those lights. That is awesome. I love Audis, of all kind of sorts. Of course, even older ones, modern ones, whatever, right? Audi race cars. Surprisingly, Audis look very proper as police cars. It's actually kind of weird because, like, as an American, like Audi's seen as like a very premium car company here, right? Like that's for people that really made it and spend a lot on their car. Like, ooh, you're pretty wealthy. You drive an Audi, right? That's how it's seen here in the U.S. And, they're usually in muted colors. They're always in silver or grays or blacks, and they're super sleek and very, nice looking. I'd seen it in police trim is actually kind of interesting, but it actually works, right? It's different than I'm used to. So, of course, you won't see this in the U.S., but I actually think it works quite well. This is like a good candidate. I mean, it's got the Quattro system, right? It's all-wheel drive, it's fast, it's pretty durable, it's got a lot of room. This is a comfy car to cruise in if you're doing a long shift as a police officer. There's really nothing wrong with this. This seems like a good candidate for a police car. This one's stacked. Like, what is this? These two things up here, I'm not sure. Of course, we got lighting packages, tons of lights everywhere. Oh, yeah, that thing is cool. Nice slim light bar up top. Of course, it's a wheeling unit. That's so cool to see. We use the same in the US most of the time. Damn, that thing looks awesome. Audi A6 3.0 TDI. So TDI, this thing's a diesel. I freaking love it even more. That is so cool. We do have Audi diesels here. They're just on the rarer side. Most people opt for, you know, petrol or gasoline engines here. It's just how it is. It's weird. That is so cool, man. And it's a wagon. So that's pretty rare. A diesel wagon. Yeah, that's going to be hard to find here in the US. I like it.
Nou, dat is hem dan, de nieuwe Audi. Die gaat in ieder geval de Volvo die jullie normaal veel kennen in het straatbeeld vervangen. En net zoals de Mercedes de Volkswagen vervangen. Hiermee kunnen we dus echt
It replaced Mercedes and Volkswagens, okay.
bijhouden.
Which seemed like cool choices too.
Het wordt dus niet in de wijk ingezet, maar vooral op het wegennet, op de snelweg. Dus je vooral terugzien bij de landelijke eenheden of speciale verkeersdiensten. En zoals ik eerder al zei, hè, de Mercedes wordt vaak ingezet in de wijk om de basispolitiezorg te doen. En op het moment dat we
Oh, now what model of Mercedes is that? I don't even recognize that. It's kind of dorky looking.
assistentie nodig hebben.
I guess in this case, the Audi is way cooler. Come on, right? That's a better choice. So in that last clip, it basically sounded like he was saying they're going to slowly start replacing all the Volkswagen and Mercedes units in the police department with Audi. So that's pretty cool. They're dedicated to the Audis. Now, do police departments and, you know, I don't really know how police departments work in different countries. You know, here in the U.S., it's probably a lot different. You know, you have state troopers, which of course are like the major police departments for each of the 50 states, right? So, you know, Illinois State Police, Indiana State Police, Florida State Police, Arizona State Police, you get the picture, right? And then, of course, you have below that, you have county police, you have city police, Chicago police, right? Chicago PD, New York PD. Then you have highway patrol, which is associated with the state stuff. Even small villages with, you know, 5,000 people might have their own police department. So it's like, there's a lot of different levels, and they get contracts with sometimes Ford or Chevy. So they'll be all Chevy police cars are all Ford or all Dodge, Chargers, whatever, right? Or sometimes they'll just buy whatever they buy. So they'll have a mix of everything. It really just depends on the department. Now, how does that work in other countries? So like him talking about the Audis will slowly be replacing the older police cars. Are they getting a contract with Audi, so they're getting all Audis going forward? Or is that just by choice? They're just buying the Audis over and over again because that's what fits them the best. If anyone knows about that stuff, let me know how it works in different countries and what different levels there are. Here's some clips of it driving. I really want to drive some of these diesel cars because it's not a thing I'm used to, right? Diesel cars are common in European countries. They're not common here.
Nou, we zijn dus nu op het circuit en het is heel veel bochtwerk. En je ziet altijd dat stuurmanskunsten voor nodig zijn, iets wat ik niet kan.
I bet that thing is awesome to drive.
Ik denk dat het ook heel lastig hier is om de topsnelheid te halen, volgens mij, denk ik. Dat lukt dus niet. Maar je merkt
Damn, they're pushing it a little bit. I like it.
Dat zit zo 140 zodra we de bocht uit zijn.
Damn, that is a sharp car. All right, here's what we want to see. We want to see what's this thing like, right? What are some of the equipment? What's the breakdown of how it's, you know, equipped and what's inside of it?
Burgerauto, die worden dan omgebouwd.
This is what I'm interested in too.
En dit is de achterbak van de Audi. En je kunt zien, het eerste wat je denk ik mist zijn de laders. Nou, dat is hier weggelaten. Dus er zijn wat minder materiaal meegenomen. Maar ook weer daar is het verhaal natuurlijk, hè, de basispolitiezorg. Hè, dat zijn die Mercedes voertuigen. Daar zit al het materiaal in en deze zijn vaak te ondersteunen. Dus die hebben ook weer wat minder nodig. Dat scheelt natuurlijk ook in het gewicht en dat heeft weer voordelen voor de topsnelheid. En nou ja, de kist zit een aantal benodigdheden. Dat is ook niet anders wat je bij de Touran gezien hebt. Of de Touran, de Mercedes, mijn excuses. En ik zeg, laten we even een rondje maken om de auto.
Ja, even. So it had a pretty big trunk. They could probably put, you know, a lot of different things in there and a lot of different equipment, bins, you name it. I mean, it is a wagon, so it's pretty practical, right?
Het stuur achter het interieur van de Audi.
Let's see the front.
Het is wat ik begrepen heb. Ik heb niet zo.
Oh, this is in the back seat. What is that?
Verstand van de auto's, maar het is een Audi RS.
Oh, those flashlights, ja?
6. En het type ga ik even opzoeken en dan zet ik even het onder bij. En net zoals in de standaard politieauto's hebben we ook weer de dubbele schermen. Nou ja, dat is bekend. Als er de melding op binnenkomen kun je dingen op
dual screens.
Het kan wel zo zijn dat bepaalde voertuigen.
Okay, some sort of a like GPS and probably not like a civilian GPS, probably much more advanced. Looks like up there, and then down here, probably like, you know, dispatch controls and a lot of different alerts, messages. I'm imagining.
Komen dat ze een iets andere opbouw hebben. Ik weet bijvoorbeeld met de
Tons of controls down here for sirens, light bars. Maybe like what do you call them? The systems where you could talk, right? And it's like a speaker. I'm assuming that maybe they have something like that.
ANPR's zitten, ik kan me zo voorstellen. Ik weet het dus niet zeker, maar dat ze ook hier een ANPR opbouwen. En in andere eenheden hebben ze dat misschien niet.
Pretty
dus
involved
zou
interior.
daarin nog wel wat kunnen verschillen.
That's cool
de rest
though.
is de basis, wat ik zo zie, hetzelfde. Toetsenbord ook. Nou, net zoals bij de basisauto's.
Keyboard. What?
Wel heel
What is this?
grappig was om te zien. Moet even kijken of dat draadje, dat zit nu een beetje vast. Zo, hop.
Oh ja.
Dit is het paneel of het bedieningssysteem voor alle blauwe lichten. Nou ja, dit is logisch. Het gele amber weer, of oranje moet ik zeggen. Het blauw en de toets en bel natuurlijk. En er zitten nog wat LED-verlichting op voor de stroboscopen en dat we kunnen schijnen aan de zijkant. Ja, stopvolgen en...
Oh, he's controlling the lights with that? That's so cool.
Stopvolgen zit erop. En wat ik net achterkwam, dat is wel leuk. Voor mij moest ik dan zo doen.
What?
En dat is natuurlijk wel heel handig als je op de snelweg zit. En je wil bijvoorbeeld bepaalde bestuurders wat aanwijzingen geven. Kun je hier dus in de LED al voorgeprogrammeerde teksten doen.
Oh, that's cool. All the European cars, so obviously this Dutch car as well, has the LED bars that show text that go across the screen somewhere in the windows that you can see from other cars. That is so useful and so cool and something that we don't have in our police cars here. Why don't we do this? It's so smart.
Rijdt snel, snelheid gemeten, ongeval.
So these are preset text you could put on there, I think.
Bam.
Or I'm totally misunderstanding
In
here.
diverse talen. Dus als we bijvoorbeeld een Franse bestuurder willen controleren.
Oh, you could change the language. Whoa.
Die optie zit er ook op. Dus dat vind ik wel...
That is
je kunt het zelf
cool.
ook, wat ik begrepen heb, kun je met testversies en dergelijke dingen instellen.
Cool.
Leuk speelgoed. Nou, voor de rest zitten de stopborden in dit geval aan de binnenzijde verwerkt. Dat was van oudsher ook wel.
Wow, I have to show this. So there's the Audi. It looks awesome, right? What a great addition to the police fleet. I am so jealous of this. Now, as someone who literally loves buying, you know, I've owned 2 police cars before. Obviously, I still have one right now. Buying old government vehicles and fleet vehicles is like, I guess I'm a nerd like that. I think it's kind of fun. Look at, I would love to, for no reason, to have an old Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon fleet vehicle. Look at this. This is a police vehicle. A G-Wagon. How freaking cool is that? Anyone know about that? Let me know. I bet that's a diesel, right? If not, either way, that is freaking cool and totally different than the G-Wagons you would see here. All the ones here are only like the super fancy, luxurious ones that are all, you know, dolled up and crazy pearlescent, you know, candy paint and metallic paint and big wheels, and they're just, you know, they're totally different than that. That's an actual utilitarian, tough G-Wagon, right? I suppose they're all tough, but that one's made, you know, for work, whereas the ones here are usually girls that go shopping that drive them. That is pretty cool. Let me look at a few pictures before we go. So I'm kind of down a rabbit hole on Pinterest, which is a site I'm not really familiar with, but I pulled up a bunch of Dutch police vehicles. Look at this Toyota pickup. This is actually really cool. You see that? Look at that. All these different Dutch police vehicles. That is actually really neat. Damn, they use a lot of different ones. Like border security, I guess. And of course, there's an Audi. There's another one. God, they look good, even with the red and blue, too. So they have different liveries. And what on earth is this? A Ferrari F12? Okay. A Spiker C8? What on earth? A bus? A Bugatti? Okay. Netherlands, you got some explaining to do. A Tesla. A G-Wagon. This is freaking crazy. Here's some images of course, just strictly the Audi. Now it pulls up some other versions or countries as well, but yeah, that is so cool, dude. Look at that whole row of them. Wow. What a cool police car, man. Like totally different, you know, that's why I find these interesting. These are a totally different approach, I think, to police vehicles than I see here in the US. But it's just interesting to see, right? Because so much of it is different. I like the liveries a lot. These vary by country, of course. The Dutch ones really are cool. I like the back too, right? Look at that. Oh, that is too freaking cool. This is in a video game. Wow. But look at that. That is, I love it, man. So freaking nice. Like, look at that money shot, right? These are just good looking cars and they just happen to be police vehicles. Might be one of the coolest police vehicles ever. Although I do really like the Skoda we saw last episode. I don't know if I could pick. I'd have to roll a dice. I really like the Skodas. I really like the Audis. Well, that's awesome. If you have gotten to, you know, maybe ride in one of these or you know, you see these all the time. What do you think of them? What would you take, an Audi police car or Skoda police car or really anything else? I would love to hear about that as well. These are awesome. I like these police car tours. I think they're fun. And, you know, there's a lot of differences and a lot of, you know, interesting things to see, at least from my perspective, when it compares to American police cars. American police cars differ a lot, of course. But, you know, nowadays they've kind of dwindled down to where there's really only the Ford FPIU, which is basically Police Interceptor Utility, which is basically a Ford Explorer, but of course outfitted for, you know, severe duty police work. And that is, I'd say, becoming most common. Otherwise, you might see some Chevy Tahoes with some departments still. And, you know, otherwise you'll see older stuff. You'll see Chargers hanging on, you know, Dodge Chargers. Very rare, but some Crown Victoria still hanging on, even though the newest Crown Victoria would still be 14 years old at this point. But I'm willing to almost say, like, while it comes to lighting and some things, the tech has definitely caught up here in the U.S., in a way they're built in the, you know, kind of the appearance, they're still a little bit old school, I'd say, compared to the average European police vehicle. So there's still some differences, which seems to be how it is with a lot of things. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I appreciate you watching. It's going to be it for this one. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all. Catch you later.